when President Obasanjo and Atiku were in government, I did not pay the court 1 naira. I was sitting in my house in the office, and the court declared me winner. When the government is not student, it can happen in Nigeria today. When I was being impeached, the president sent people to come and intervene on my behalf. Ken Naman came begging house people not to impeach me. Today, the president impeaches the person. So that is the same thing. They were begging my house not to impeach me. And they were PDP. I was in anger. And they were begging. President was calling me and said, Peter, are you okay? Well, even when I was impeached, President Obasanjo called me and said, are you okay? Are you safe? When I go back from the court, when court eventually declared me under Tinubu, President Yaradua called my phone in London and said, congrats. I said, President, I can't come back because, you know, if I come back, these people, he said, tell me the flight in which you're coming back. And I told him, when I came in the first time, military people came to the
Guys, please pray for Peter Obi. Peter Obi as dear Pablo Escobar. This is not a Twitter write-up. This is not a Facebook write-up. This is not an Instagram write-up. This is live in Abuja. Live. You are going to watch the video live now. Peter Obi talking. Peter Obi said, Obasanjo came 1999, laid foundation for democracy. Yaradua Jonathan Goodluck came, you know, they raised it to decade. But Pablo Escobar came and destroyed everything. He came to buy and destroy. This video, I just Pablo Escobar won't go after Peter Obi or this one. I like people who talk now. Peter Obi is now giving us obedience. The man that if eventually he contests again and he win, they rig him, he has in mind. Because this is not Peter Obi who used to talk. I salute you. Peter Obi is not talking like a man, the man we want in him. Guys, I bet before you watch this video, like it and share it until Pablo Escobar and all the criminal gangs around him see it. He said how he went to court. 1 naira, he was not even going to court. That 1 naira, he didn't send. He said, but today, it cannot happen. How Obasanjo sent Senate president to come and beg Afghan, he was in Afghan, not the same party, not to impeach him. He said, but today, Pablo Escobar is the one impeaching. I beg, like and share this, I beg, I beg you. Together, we can make this country a great country. Thank you.
What Bishop said, he says the work in progress. Let me follow my brother when he said about 1999. If you look at where we are today, it's like they started in 1999, laid the foundation. Some people came and took it a decking, and some people were trying to raise it to first floor, and some people came and knocked everything down. That's the situation where we are now. Everything has been knocked down. Nothing works. And I'm somebody who can say this exemplarily. I became a governor to the court when President Obasanjo and Atiku were in government. I did not pay the court 1 naira. I was sitting in my house in the office, and the court declared me winner. When the government is not student, it can happen in Nigeria today. When I was being impeached, the president sent people to come and intervene on my behalf. Ken Naman came begging house people not to impeach me. Today, the president impeaches the person. So that is the same thing. They were begging my house not to impeach me. And they were PDP. I was in anger. And they were begging. President was calling me and said, Peter, are you okay? Well, even when I was impeached, President Obasanjo called me and said, are you okay? Are you safe? When I go back from the court, when court eventually declared me under Tinubu, President Yaradua called my phone in London and said, congrats. I said, President, I can't come back because, you know, if I come back, these people, he said, tell me the flight in which you're coming back. And I told him, when I came in the first time, military people came to the airport. I couldn't believe it. I took this straight to him. Now the president will ask me not to come back here again. So it's fair. Let's not talk about it. Let's talk about how we're going to rebuild it. It's collapsing.
I'm glad that the last respondent said yes and no. So,
well, I would say to China, China is not democratic.
it isn't.
And I'm not going to compare ourselves with Singapore. It's a country of less than 5 million people. But I'll compare ourselves with Indonesia. Indonesia is 280 million. And coincidentally, the country with the highest number of Muslims. We should look at their democracy. They have what we call proportional representative. that is what I've always championed and will do. You cannot have, let me even go back, no country in the past 3 years conducted election had less than 30% of registered voters participate in the election and they held it. Everyone was go and check from South Africa to Mexico to Indonesia. It were not less than 60%. Nigeria was 23% of registered voters. In that 23%, Nigeria is the only country where you can be declared a winner without receiving 50% plus one of the votes. Our own was at 7%. And there's no proportional representation, which is why you can have opposition here. Because if you had that, what you say would have happened. Because the person there now have 37% of the vote, call it 40. In the Senate, would have had 44 members. PDP, with their leader, would have had about 34 members, and Labour would have had 24. In fact, we should have actually formed government. You cannot have a minority person sitting in government with everything, chasing everybody out, destroying everything. We must change it and have proportional representation so that they give us the everything. That's how it works. And when we do that, go and see it in Indonesia. In Indonesia, the president's party is not the leading party in the parliament, but they have proportional representative, which brings proper checks and balances. Like he said, it's the operators. That is why I said it's failing. Is that even sure that it's failing? Because the operators now have failed it. That is one we go back, it is failing.
That even in Nigeria, there's more to do with the operators. I'll give you an example. Here in this room, seated, is former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Under his regime, state of emergency was declared in a number of states. The National Assembly, then we had Senator Aini Payo-Fanyi as President of the Senate, and of course, Senator Ken Namani and Senator David Mark. They all worked. And then, of course, Speaker Masari was also Speaker of the House of Representatives, Speaker Ete and Dongole and myself at the point. We all ensured that two-thirds majority of members of both chambers passed the emergencies in those times.
By two-thirds, each member had to vote.
Each member had to vote. And you know that Parliament is guided by the Constitution, by its rules, and by precedents. In this same National Assembly, we have the same Constitution in a way, under Section 305. It has not been amended since the commencement of this democracy. We have our standing rules, and we have precedents of how two-thirds were able to be established in those instances where emergency was declared in Plateau, emergency was declared in Borno and Yobe. And we stopped by those. And we were guided by the Constitution. What happened in the last one? So I still insist that you need to check out the operators of the system.
I have asked that question because Bishop Kuka, when he was speaking, made reference to how we will balance it.
Yeah, I think we are looking at democracy within the context of Africa, not just Nigeria. And I listened to the speaker very well. He talked about the challenges, but I will go even further. I don't know whether many of us were aware of the meeting last week in Qatar between the president of Rwanda and the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo over the war that was going on there. But what I found very striking is how the two leaders will even meet. Because a few days before that meeting, the president of Rwanda granted an interview. And in that interview, he was very brutal on the president of the Republic of Congo. He gave an anecdote that there was this report that he read somewhere that an Italian man, an Italian who lived in Belgium, said that when he was in Belgium, that the current president of Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix, was a driver for him, a delivery driver. He was selling pizza. That's according to President Kagame. So he said, the Italian man said, when I heard that Felix became the president of Congo, I laughed. Felix couldn't deliver pizza. And I mean, he is the president of is President Kagame telling this story that you have a president in the Republic of Congo, a man who was so incompetent, in his early life that he couldn't deliver pizza. That's the kind of president that the Republic of Congo has started beside me. I don't think that story is true, but that's beside the point. The point really is that there are challenges for every country when it comes to management of politics. What the lesson for us is democracy is about serving the public good. It's not about it. That's why I agree to an extent what His Excellency said. It's a work in progress. But I also agree with what His Excellency Tinubu said, because there are also challenges that we can see within our own environment. But we have to look at both sides, the challenges as well as the prospects, and the role we can play to make this democracy better. That's what I will say. Democracy must serve the public good. I listened to Bishop Kuta when he was talking about Indonesia, in Singapore. People easily have talked about Rwanda, for instance, as a model in Africa, because at least people believe that the system is working for the majority of the people. It is an incident that I've never been to Rwanda, but I hear a lot of good things about Rwanda. But there are also people who believe that Rwanda is not the model. So that tells you about the way people reason about this democracy thing. Yeah, it's working for the ordinary people. But the elite are also complaining that there are issues of human rights, there are issues of justice. So at the end of the day, there is no perfect democracy anywhere in the world. But what is essential is that government, by any means, will serve the public good. I think, for me, that is the message we should all take from here.